Hey, Dr. Ray here, founder of the Learning Liaisons, and welcome. Welcome to our Wednesday evening math sessions featuring our math specialist and your math specialist, Amy Sink. In the next hour, Amy has put together a sample set of approximately 10 practice questions that run the gamut from kindergarten levels all the way through 12th grade high school math. Now, I know you are attending here, watching this, and you're like, well, I'm doing elementary in Texas, or I'm doing elementary in Praxis, or I'm doing high school math in Florida, or middle school math in Texas. And what's going on here, right? So we're doing these sessions to help you guys out and provide you with different ways to look at problems and to build that confidence. Because here at the Learning Liaisons, one of our major objectives is to clear up the testing confusion, give you the support you deserve in order to nail your exam and be done with it. So our focus is on math. Now, are we going to be just focusing on high school math the whole hour or elementary? No. We've got a mixture here. Now, Amy's going to go through a bunch of problems. You're going to have the opportunity to download those as a PDF. So when Amy starts, just pay attention to the screen. We're going to have a message there for you so you can download the PDF in case we don't get to all the problems and want to practice on your own. She's going to do her best to go across all different grade levels. If you have a question, you feel free to ask Amy your question as well. We're teachers here too, so we can multitask. Our job is to make sure that we give you what you need to be successful. But if you're like, dang it, I didn't have any questions this week, don't worry. We'll be here next Wednesday night as well. So bring those questions with you if you want, and you can ask Amy away. Because here at the Learning Liaisons, we pride ourselves in providing you guys the support you need to pass your exam. So whether you're our Florida teachers here with our FTCE exams, our national exam, Praxis peeps, big shout out to you guys out there too, and especially our newcomers to the Learning Liaisons brand, TExES Prep. So whether you're elementary, middle school, and high school, we've got your back. So sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, get ready to learn some math, and stay tuned for the end because I'm going to jump back on to close this out. And I got a special surprise for you guys who really want to get the real deal prep and get everything you need to be successful and practice, clear up that confusion, and pass your certification exam on the next attempt. So, welcome to the Learning Liaisons community. Always remember, it's when you pass, not if you pass. So without further ado, let's turn it over to the reason why you're here, Amy. You with us, Amy? Let's get going.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Wednesday Night Math Night. Like Dr. A said, I am Amy Sink, and I am one of the math specialists here at the Learning Liaisons. And I just love what we get to do, which is hang out together and solve math problems together. Our goal here is to help you feel more competent and confident in those math skills. Help you feel more competent and confident in those math skills. So we are here every single Wednesday, working through problems. We work through problems pre-K through 12. And I always like to try to tailor the problems to what you need. And so if there is something specific that you're looking for, don't hesitate to let me know in the comment box so that I can include that in the upcoming week's sessions. Don't hesitate to let me know in the comment box so that I can let you know, or so that I can include that in the upcoming week's sessions. Now, before we get started, I always like to do a get to know you session. So in the comment box, let me know where you're from, what test are you prepping for, and the get to know you question of the day is going to be, are you more of a spaghetti and meatballs person, or are you more of a lasagna person? I am more of a spaghetti and meatballs girl all day. In fact, specifically spaghetti and meat sauce. I am not so much a lasagna person. I'm not a huge fan of ricotta, but I do know that there are people who live for a good lasagna. So are you more of a spaghetti and meatballs kind of person or more of a lasagna person? But more importantly, where are you from and what test are you prepping for? That helps me tailor our questions today. While all the questions are specifically set, it helps me tailor kind of our rabbit trail conversations. Like I said, I'm Amy Sink and I am from the Central Florida area. And I just love math. So let's go ahead and get started with our first problem. In the circle shown below, the length of AE is 8 units, and the length of ED is x plus 3 units. The length of EC is 5 units, and the length of BE is 5x minus 2 units. What is the length of BC? What is the length of BC? All right, so what we have here is we've got a circle with chords. What we've got here is a circle with a couple of different chords. And what we know about chords is that they do not go through the center of the circle. They do not go through the center of the circle. So a chord is just a length or a line segment that has endpoints on either end of the circle. So it has a end here and an end here. It has an end here and an end here. There's an infinite number of chords that we can draw for this circle. I could draw one here. 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 There's all sorts of different chords. Now, a diameter goes through the center of the circle. So this would be a diameter that is also a chord. And a radius starts at the center of the circle and extends to the outside. But these AD and BC are none of the above. AD and BC are none of the above. So what do we know about the length of chords and their relationships? What do we know about the length of chords and their relationships? Well, we know that if I have two chords, that I can do the part of one chord times the part of the other of that chord equals the part of one chord times the other part of that chord. Let me explain that in a little better English. So I can do BE times EC, and it's going to equal AE times ED. Let me do that again. I can do BE times EC, and it will equal AE times ED. So BE times the length of ED is going to equal AE times, BE and EC. I miswrote that. BE and EC, AE times ED. Now let's label this. This says the length of AE is 8 units. The length of ED is x plus 3. The length of EC is 5. And the length of BE is 5x minus 2. So I can do 8 times x plus 3, and that will equal 5x minus 2 times 5. Use my distributive property, and I'm just going to flip it all to white. 8x plus 24 equals 25x minus 10. Now I've got a very algebra problem that I'm going to finish solving. Now I'm going to have a very algebra problem that I'm going to finish solving. I'm just going to move my x's around so that all my x's are on one side of the equation. I'm going to move my constants around so that all my constants are on one side of the equation, and we're going to be done. So I'm going to subtract 8x from both sides. So I have 24 equals 25 minus 8. Use my calculator here. 17x minus 10. Add 10 to both sides. 34 equals 17x divided by 17 on both sides. If you're not sure how I got that, please, please, please let me know. If you are unsure of how I got all of that algebraic stuff, please, please, please let me know so that I can slow down that part for you. But we end up with x equals 2. We end up with, and I'm reconnecting my screen right now, we end up with x equals 2. Now, did they ask for x? They did not. They asked for, and this is why it's important to always go back to your original problem, they asked for the length of BC. So BC is 5x minus 2 plus 5. BC is this whole thing. So we have 5 times 2 minus 2 plus 5. Order of operations says that I'm going to do the 5 times the 2, which is 10 minus 2 plus 5. 10 minus 2 is 8. 8 plus 5 is 13. So my answer is actually C. My answer is actually going to be C here. But you notice they have A as a choice because they want you to solve and do all that work and then misread the question. So that's important that you recognize that. All right, let's move on to our next problem. A journalist in a town with a population of 15,200 takes a random sample of 200 people and finds that 60 of them read the local newspaper. Based on that sample, which of the following is the best estimate for the number of people in the town that read the local newspaper? Based on this sample, which of the following is the best estimate for the number of people in the town that read the local newspaper? All right, so we've got a journalist in town with a population of 15,200 taking a random sample. Now, this is a very elementary version of this kind of problem. If you're a statistics person, you might know that like, oh, you can't actually take a sample of that many people. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a very elementary version of this kind of like statistics proportion kind of thing, right? So all we're looking at is that we have a total population of 15,200. And then we take a sample, and the sample total or the sample whole is 200. And 60 of them read the newspaper. And so we want to know how many people in the town read the newspaper. So in this case, we're just going to set up a proportion. And when we have a proportion, we know that we put our one side has to equal the other. So if I'm setting up a proportion here, I know that whatever I have on this side needs to equal whatever I have on this side. So I'm going to have my newspaper readers over my total population equals my newspaper readers over my total population. Now, let's go ahead and fill in those numbers. My newspaper readers in my sample are 60, and my total population or my total sample size is 200. My total population in my entire town is 15,200, and I'm looking for my number of newspaper readers. So now I've got this proportion set up so that I can actually solve it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cross multiply to solve this problem. So 15,200 times 60 is going to equal 200 times n. And in this case, I am going to use that handy dandy calculator of mine. So 15,200 times 60 equals 912,000, and that's going to equal 200 n. And then to isolate that n, to undo what's being done, I'm going to divide everything by 200. And I get n equals 4,560. And like I said, this is just a very basic proportion problem that we're working with. Questions? Don't forget in the comment box to let me know if there's something that you want to see me go over in the upcoming weeks. Let's go ahead and move on to problem number 3. Find the value of AG knowing the following. Now, I'm not even going to read the next part because you have to know what these mean, right? You have to know what these mean. Right here, these mean parallel. So I have BG is parallel to CF, and I have CF is parallel to DE. So when I'm looking at this, I've got to know my notations to be able to actually solve this problem, right? So I've got this interesting picture over here that shows a big triangle with parallel lines in the middle. With parallel lines in the middle. And I've got these interesting lengths. Like I've got AB is 8. And I've got BC is 3. And I've got CD is 4. And then I have FE is 5. What am I going to do with that? Well, this is kind of a loaded problem. There's a lot to this. So what I'm going to try to do is create similar triangles so that I can actually create proportions, right? I've got 3 separate triangles. I've got a smaller one, and then a medium-sized one, and then a larger one. And so I have A, B, G, and I have A, C, F, and I have A, D, E. And this is 8. And this is 11. And this is 15. And you might be going, Amy, how did you get 11 and 15? It's a great question. Because I know that 8 plus 3 is 11. And I know, skips to the wrong slide, I know that 8 plus 3 plus 4, which creates AD, is 15. Now, how can I prove that these triangles are similar? Well, I know that A is equal to A is equal to A. And why is this important right here? When they give me parallel lines, that tells me that I've got two parallel lines being cut by a transversal. What do I know about two parallel lines that are being cut by a transversal? I know that I create equal angle pairs. And so I've got corresponding angles. Like I know that B and C and D are all corresponding. So they're all going to be equal. And if that doesn't make sense to you, please let me know in the comment box because I want to go over corresponding angles next week. If that doesn't make sense to you, let me know. And I know that E and F and G are all the same. And I know that there is an angle-angle similarity postulate that tells me that if a triangle has equal angles, then the triangles are similar, which means their proportions are equal to each other. So now I'm trying to figure out AG. However, I only have my side lengths and I only have this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that AF is X. This whole thing is X. Then that means that this is X plus 5. Are you following? Are you following? Okay. Now, I'm going to do 11 over 15 equals X over X plus 5 because proportional parts are equal to each other. Well, the proportions are equal to each other in similar triangles. So 11 over 15 equals X over X plus 5. Cross multiply. 15x equals 11x plus 55. Subtract 11x, and I have 4x equals 55. Divide both sides by 4, and x equals 55 over 4. So AF is 55 over 4. Now let's make this x instead. We'll call that y. Now I can set up a proportional train with this set of triangles. So I have 8 over 11 equals y over 55 divided by 4 is 13.75. Cross multiply again. And I have 11y equals 110. Divide both sides by 11. Y equals 10. So this right here is 10. So in this problem, there was two different sets of proportional triangles or similar triangles that we had to use to be able to move forward. Questions? All right, let's go on to the next problem. What change would need to happen to the slope to make the following lines perpendicular? What change would need to happen to the slope to make the following lines perpendicular? X minus 3y equals 12. X plus 3y equals 6. Nothing. The lines are already perpendicular. Multiply the slope of the first equation by a -1. Multiply the slope of the second equation by 9. Multiply the slope of the first equation by -1/3. So there's a couple of different parts here that we're working with. We are actually having to make a change. What change would need to happen to make the following lines perpendicular? What do I know about perpendicular lines? Perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. Negative reciprocal slopes. Well, if they have negative reciprocal slopes, then that means that if the slope of the first line is a over b, the slope of the next line needs to be negative b over a. Do I know what the slopes of these lines are? I do not, because they are in standard form, which is useless form. It's not helpful. So I need to convert them into slope-intercept form, which means I need it to look like y equals mx plus b, where y is by itself. Now, how do I get y by itself? Well, if I have x minus 3y equals 12, sorry about the dog, I'm going to subtract x from both sides. I have negative 3y equals negative x plus 12. I have negative 3y equals negative x plus 12. Divide both sides by negative 3, but I have to divide everything by negative 3. I have to divide everything by negative 3. So I end up with y equals 1/3 x minus 4. Does this part even matter? It doesn't, because we're only looking for the slopes. Now, let's convert this equation. So I have x plus 3y equals 6. Subtract x from both sides. 3y equals negative x plus 6. And divide both by 3. So y equals negative 1/3 x plus 2. Now, I have negative 1/3 x and I have positive 1/3 x. So I don't need to multiply by a negative value because one is already negative and one is already positive. So I don't need to multiply by a negative value to get the other one to be opposite of it, if that makes sense. So I have one is positive and one is negative. They are not already perpendicular because it's not flipped. If they were already perpendicular of one another, one would be 3 over 1 and then the other one would be negative 1 over 3. But that's not the case. Multiply by a negative something. I don't need to multiply by a negative something because I already have a negative and a positive. So if I multiply the first equation by a negative, I'm going to end up with 2 positives. So I don't want to do that. And I don't want to multiply by a negative down here either. So even if I have no idea if C is the correct answer, y'all, C is the only one that even can possibly make sense. Now, why is that one going to make sense? Multiply the slope of the second equation by 9. If I multiply the slope of the second equation by 9, negative 1/3 times 9 over 1, I get negative 9 over 3, which means I get negative 3 over 1, which now means it is the flip of that one. How fun was that problem? So cool. All right, we are going to wrap it up for today. I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. A to close us out, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Please don't hesitate to let me know in the comment box what you want to see me go over in the next coming weeks. Bye.
All right, so wasn't that an amazing session? Now, I know, depending on what exam you have to take, you're like, man, that was great, but she didn't address everything I needed. She focused on all different questions, and I just need elementary, or I just need middle school, I just need high school. Don't worry. Since you're still with us, I've got a special surprise for you. If you use the coupon code, all capital letters, SINK35, that's SINK 35, that will take off 35% off any of our prep courses on our website at the Learning Liaisons. Doesn't have to be math. It could be anything that you need. that we offer. And this is going to be an ongoing deal for you guys who attend these live sessions, because these are great. I'm sure Amy opened your eyes to some new concepts, some new ways to tackle problems, building that confidence. But this is just a smidget of your exam, the concepts on your test. So if you want the comprehensive view with the practice with Amy, with the practice test, with the lessons and the content review, we've got your back on our video boot camps, which all of them feature Amy Sink, your math specialist. So if you want to take advantage of that, the code is SYNC35. You can use that at checkout on the learningliaisons.com website. And all that information is on our website as well, and on the bottom of the screen in this video. So we are here to help you. Once again, always remember, it's when you pass, not if you pass. Thank you for joining us again today, and hopefully we'll see you next week too. Talk to you soon.